Last night I thought was amazing. I didn't think it started out real well. Mike Pence came out and he kind of seemed like the typical politician, and I didn't think he did well with COVID, surprisingly, shockingly. And then he just unleashed, and Kamala Harris looked horrible. I talked to Donald Trump Jr. right after the debate, and here's what he said.
Man, he just destroyed her, and he did it with a smile on his face. He had an answer for everything. He called out the lies when it was appropriate. He kept his cool. He pointed out to the cold, hard facts of Joe Biden's failed 47 years in the Washington, D.C. swamp. He called out Kamala Harris's disastrous uber leftist record in the Senate and the disaster that would mean for the American people. And he did it with a smile on his face, and you could see just the cringe, on that, just the least authentic person in probably American politics, if not just America, period, Kamala Harris, and she's just getting destroyed by this guy who just did it in the nicest possible way. It was amazing.
I saw her one more time say, "I'm speaking. I'm speaking."
Yeah, she tries to do the I'm cute thing, but she overplays it.
Oh.
It's sort of like the fake laugh when she laughs for no reason, and you have that cackle. When she's laughing at something that's not a joke, that only she finds funny, that no one else is in on. There's really there's a failure of personality there that's truly sad. It's sort of embarrassing to watch, and I think a lot of that was present tonight. But I think more importantly, her refusal to answer real issues, the gibberish she gave us about what they would do about China and holding them accountable, and Joe's dismal record in China, where he sent American jobs abroad for decades. The fact that she wouldn't answer the question about stacking courts, which obviously means that's totally their plan. They're just not going to say it because it would be negative for them. But if they don't give an answer, at least then when they do it, they can say it's not a lie. So, I think all of that has been exposed, and the hypocrisy of the Democrat Party has been exposed. And honestly, I think she was just a terrible choice for BP, and tonight's performance shows just that.
I will tell you the thing that I liked about Mike Pence, and I thought she did a horrible job on this, was the economy. There was just no credibility coming from, and I wanted Pence to say, I want somebody to say, you guys said this is as good as it's ever going to get. We could never create any more jobs. You mocked Donald Trump for saying he was going to create. You said it was impossible. Now we're expecting you to grow it?
There's no magic wand for that. Obama.
Oh, he did say that.
That was their plan. So he actually brought it up. Mike Pence definitely brought it up. But that's the problem. The media will say, they did a great job growing jobs. They got an economy as it just started an uptick from one of the biggest recessions we've seen. A monkey doing nothing would have seen growth that they saw. Yeah. It didn't take anything to actually see growth. But if their economy was so good, and they claimed it was for 8 years because of their policies, how come Donald Trump was able to make it skyrocket the second he took over? Mm-hmm. It literally on November 9th, 2016, before he even took office, but when America knew that Donald Trump had won, when small business and big business alike realized that the person in the White House for the next 4 years would not be anti-business, would not be for excessive regulation, would not be for excessive taxation, that's when the market started skyrocketing. Obama gets credit for sort of the period between the election day and when my father took office at the inauguration, but consumer confidence went through the roof. It was like 1,500 points in the market because they finally knew they wouldn't have an enemy in the White House.
I want to play something. Kamala Harris said repeatedly that they would not end fracking. But I want to play something from Joe Biden, July 31st, 2019, the Democratic primary debate. Watch.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No.
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated and no more subsidies for either one of those, any fossil fuel.
He says there is no place for any fossil fuels in a Biden administration. He was very, very clear. As Vice President Pence pointed out, it's on their website. The Green New Deal is on their website.
Yeah, it's one of her number one points. It's one of his number one points. But that's the problem, Glenn. That's sort of what we're up against. The mainstream media knows that. They're not as stupid as they seem, that they would neglect point number one or point number two of his actual platform on his actual website. They just know that highlighting it to the people of Pennsylvania, to the people of Ohio and Michigan and Oklahoma and Texas and places all over the country where that is a huge boost for the economy, where that creates lots and lots, thousands and thousands of good paying jobs, they know it would be a disaster there.
So
and say that he's not against it, even though it's part of his platform. They will let him have both sides of every argument. I put up a tweet about it literally during the debate, because there are not just one example. There are literally countless examples beyond what's on his actual website, beyond what's on his platform, where he's literally reassuring people that he's ending this stuff immediately. Because we don't have the luxury or the benefit of having a mainstream media that will function as our marketing department, that will sort of, pretend we didn't do, just pretend that this is the case, allow us to get away with anything. We get fact check. They don't. Anyone decent, whether it was talking about, Joe Biden and his COVID response, whether the idea of keeping travel open from China, whether it's disastrous policies as it relates to China on a trade perspective, whether it's the disastrous handling of Joe Biden of swine flu back in 2009, where even Joe Biden's own head guy, because Joe Biden had a similar role to Mike Pence in leading the response, said, man, we basically got lucky because it was a disastrous response. We did everything wrong. And by the way, they forgot to replenish the PPE after it was over. No one talks about it, just like they don't talk about Hunter Biden and millions of dollars from China and millions from the Ukraine and millions from a Putin associate in Moscow. That's okay. They get a pass for that. The stuff that they dreamed for years that I was doing, Hunter Biden was actually doing. And now that the collusion is on the other foot, no one wants to know anything. But this is what we're up against. And that's why it's so important for the American people to see it.
It is. It's amazing. I spent about 30 minutes privately with Don Jr. Last night. And I will tell you that they are fighting fires on so many fronts, and they have so few allies. I think the GOP is despicable. I don't think the GOP is fighting. They are.
Have they abandoned him?
I don't think they've abandoned him. They're just not doing all that they can to fight the fires. I really got the feeling in just talking about a couple of things that they are so. They're battling the taxes. They're battling impeachment. They're battling the Russiagate. They're battling COVID. They're battling the president's COVID. They're battling the press. It's just overwhelming. I urge you to pray for the president and his family, because they are fighters, man. They are fighters, but they really are the firewall. They go down. This whole thing goes down